Dear participants, on behalf of the Guru Nanak Center for Research, I welcome you all to the day 6 of the International Industry Academia Conclave IIAC 2020 on Redefining Phytomedicines for Post-COVID Era, today the 10th of November 2020. Now I request our Dean School of Languages, Head Department of Hindi and IQAC Coordinator of Guru Nanak College, Dr. Swati Paliwal ma'am, to kindly deliver the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Mahendra. A very good evening to all the learned and enthusiastic participants who are here to learn and upgrade their knowledge about phytomedicines for the post-COVID era. On behalf of Guru Nanak College, I welcome all the academicians, research scholars, students, science enthusiasts, and common public from all over the world for this 8-day International Industry Academia Conclave on redefining phytomedicines for post-COVID era. I also welcome the distinguished guest and resource person of the day, Dr. MANOJ KR ji, Principal Scientist, ICAR and Central Institute of Agriculture Engineering, Bhopal. Sir, we hope you will come visit our campus in the future and find it as clean and green as your city. Yeah. It's been 8 months since we began with the COVID-19 virus. Year 2020 has gone in lockdowns and unlockdowns. Medical experts and scientists are working with supersonic speed to find a solution for this pandemic. Worldwide, more than 51 million people suffered from this virus. We saw 1.26 million deaths, and the count is still increasing. There are 34 million people who have recovered from this and are clueless about how to live a safer and healthier life. The experts in the field of medical science and other areas are still working on how to make a safer and a better world after this pandemic. To find the answer of these questions, the Guru Nanak Center for Research has organized 8-day-long international conclave. I congratulate the convener, Dean Research, Dr. J. Jayanti, and her team, Dr. Mahendra Kumar, and other team members also, for organizing such an informative and useful program. Once again, on behalf of Guru Nanak College, I welcome all the participants and the resource person of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your warm words of welcome. Now, it's my profound duty to introduce our resource person of the day, Dr. M.K. Tripathi. Dr. M.K. Tripathi is currently working as Principal Scientist at Department of Agro-Produce Processing Division at ICAR, Central Institute of Agricultural Engineering, Government of India, Bhopal. He is a postgraduate in biochemistry from Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia of the university and obtained his PhD in biochemistry from G.B. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology. His major areas of interest include medicinal compounds, functional and nutraceutical compounds, fermented and probiotic food. He has published more than 85 research papers and 93 abstracts in international and national journals of repute, more than 54 book chapters and 55 popular articles in leading magazines and publishers. He has authored and edited 13 books and 5 technical bulletins in areas of food processing and food biotechnology. 2 of his books received the Book of the Year and Bestseller Book Awards. He has developed more than 25 process technologies, worked on 16 national projects as principal investigator and co-principal investigator, and as group leader of the PMO-based activities on fruit-based carbonated beverage development. He has applied for patents for 6 products and commercialized many process technologies, and he has registered genes in NCBI. He has received several research grants from NASF, ICAR, DST, Ministry of Environment, and handled more than 25 administrative and expert responsibilities. Presently, he is also working as editor-in-chief in the Octal Journal of BIOS, an executive editor in Scientific India, and member of the editorial board of more than 10 reputed national and international journals. Dr. Tripathi has served as chairman, invited speaker, organizing secretary, and members in more than 110 international and national conferences and trainings. He has established 5 research labs in biotechnology and instrumentation. Dr. Tripathi has been recipient of several prestigious awards and honors, and to name a few, prestigious CSIR Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship in 2002, Marvelous Personality of India Award in 2016 in Science. His biography was published in Marvelous Record of Books of India in Science chapter. He's got the Established Scientist Award in 2014, Best Scientist Award in 2017, and he has got several Young Scientist Awards. 16 Best Paper Presentation Awards in international and national conferences. He has got the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2017 by Innovative Research Chennai for outstanding achievements in the field of food processing research and publications. He had been conferred with the Innovative Food Product Development IFPD Award, Certificate of Excellence in 2012 for Science Being Journal Publishing Group, Dehradun, India. He has also got Certificate of Recognition from the Central Silk Board, Dehradun, Uttarakhand in 2007. He has also got Recognition Award in 2016 from the National Environmental Association, India. He has also got Best Scientific Contributor Award from Food and Beverages International Magazine, Award for Swachhata Abhiyan Mission and National Productivity Mission. He had been honored as Fellow of the SPS Scientific Panel member, Fruits and Vegetables and Their Products, FSSAI, Government of India. He is also member of the FAD 10 Vegetables and Allied Products Selectional Committee and by the BIS, Government of India. Dear participants, we have with us an eminent scientist and an accomplished personality who will be sharing his experiences with us today. Now, I request our resource person, Dr. M.K. Tripathi, to kindly share his experiences. Sir, please.
Thank you, sir. And for nice introduction, I'm just sharing, but okay. I'm facing little problem.
But
Sir.
you can click the share screen, sir.
Yeah, but they have some problem. Streaming.
The entire screen or the
Actually, our screen is just become hacked.
Oh.
So can we? They just indicate not responding. Can we close and again re-enter?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that will be okay, sir. Close the program.
B, you can leave the studio and rejoin, sir.
Yes, I think he has joined from some other thing.
Can I visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the nice introduction. And I am very thankful to the organizer, which they have the excellent effort to organize such types of webinar during this COVID period. Actually, everyone just looking some solutions for the COVID-19. So this seminar, I hope this seminar will be very much useful for all the this aspect. And as per Madam is asked, Madam Paliwal is asked that this is the news for the COVID-19, and everyone expected that what will be the life of this COVID-19. It may be extend up to year, more than 1 year, and everyone looking at the building of their body defense by strengthening immune system. So everyone looking the system for the immune boosting. Before the recent outbreak, no one is known to the expose such types of virus. So this is the difficulty to society. Our immune systems are actually immature to expose of such types of virus. So this is the again one difficulty to just overcome such types of problem. If you see, this is the reason why this coronavirus is spread widely. Presently, if you see, we have only a very small alternative. No proper treatment is there, no proper medical facility is there, no vaccine is there. But one thing is there, that is the our immune boosting. Means the one alternate which can boost our immune is the nutrient, which is the only alternate during this period. Everyone asking, like WHO, Health Ministry, and Ministry of Ayush, that you can just boost our immunity, and this is only possible with with the this food component. So in our hand for COVID-19 defense, this is the single alternate nowadays, and so we can just choose this thing for our immune boosting. My topic is role of functional food component in immunity boosting for disease management. This topic itself indicate how this food functional food component is involved in the boosting of our immune system, and how this immune boosting, if you make a strong immunity in our body, will be very much responsible for the disease management. So first come to the, there are several things people's confused: food, functional food, and nutraceutical food. So these functional foods are basically foods, any food which have other than nutritional property, it's called functional food. So mainly in functional foods, they are very beneficiary, and one or more target function, means they are just involved not only on nutrition, they also just take over our health and well-being. Definitely, if any foods are very favorable to the health, is responsible, or is maybe helpful for the reduction of risk of disease. That's why this functional food is very effective during this period. How this functional food? This functional food is not used in the form of pill or capsule or any form of dietary supplement. Most of the functional foods is just carried by in the form of foods. So normal food pattern with rich functional food component is just make the food more functional. If you take functional foods, and this functional food, because all the functional foods are very good source of functional food component. These foods, which are foods and which component is the functional, and because the foods which provide the health benefit beyond the nutrition is mainly comes in this category. So American Diet Association, ADA, the breakdown this functional food in 4 category. If you see, some of the categories matching in your kitchen. So one of the categories, the conventional foods, second is the modified foods, medical foods, and food for special dietary uses, and some of the food options and some of the alternates in our home, which just cover in all, like, and that are called mostly superfoods, like beans, berries, soya, spinach. These all whole grains. These all are the very good source of the functional food component. Means during this period where everyone just want to alternate to boost their immunity, and after boosting, we just avoid to infection of this coronavirus. If you see, this coronavirus actually affect the some of the our immune system cells and some of the signaling molecule cells. Means the people who is strong immunity, they are very much resistant to such types of virus. This virus is not a single type of virus. If you see, in COVID period and after post COVID period, we just supposed to, we are going to face so many of the problem of the viruses. So if you develop a proper food, if you use the proper functional food component, we definitely make our body more and more strengthening and immune boost. So these components are very important. If you see this functional food category, the 4 category is a conventional foods. Mostly it is always recommended in the science and food science to take the whole foods, because these whole foods are very good functional food. And these functional foods, if you take whole without any processing, Definitely, all the functional component from the dead foods come inside your body and helpful to boosting your not only immune system to just regularize the proper functioning of your body system. So the some of the example of these conventional foods are garlic, nuts, and tomatoes. So the consumption of all these foods are very much essential. Some modified foods are also designed to for the avoid of some metabolic diseases like fortified food. The one example is iodized salt. We just ate some iodine in the salt in this foods. Means just we enrich the some breads. This is the one example with folate. Enhanced foods. Definitely they have some of their nutraceutical value, but we enhance their value much and more. Like in the market, yogurt is available. Although curd have all the functionality, but make much more functional. We develop the cards and also added some biotic component and formulating new products. If you suppose the medical foods, any person facing the diabetes and cancers and some other disease, metabolic disease, it can be minimized by using of some of the foods. So we are just in the process of developing and formulating some special foods, which very much familiar, which very much effective for some of the medical problems. One category, if you see foods for special diet use, definitely our different ages of the persons, like infant, children, old ages, everyone has their different requirement of body of the phytochemical, because each and every conditions, the metabolic, the basic metabolic rate and their biosynthetic rate different, their immunity is different, their defense is different. So nowadays, as per the requirement of the age, we are just formulating a special types of dietary food. For the infant, we different. For if you have any person is just facing problem of weight, we are just developing the foods with the weight loss foods. Gluten-free foods. Some person are facing the gluten allergy problems. We are just formulating gluten-free food. So these all are the one of the functional food category where we add some functional component, we add some other additional property in instead of their nutritional property. So if you classified the foods, these are the basic things. Some people are called chemical nature, like the carbohydrate, protein, fats, carbohydrate. In some, on the basis of the body function, what are their functions? Like energy giving, body building, and protective. Some on chemical properties. That this is the organic foods, this is the inorganic food. In some classification by mass, that a huge amount is required or a small amount is required. That is micronutrient and macronutrient. By origin, these foods component come from the plant or animals, are the nutritive value. So these all are the classification of the foods. In all the foods, most of the functional foods, functional components are important. So come to the functional food. What are the functional food? If you see these functional foods first appeared in the Nature Journal, where the heading Japanese explore the boundary between food and medicine. First time the functional foods and functional food concept comes in the Japan, where they try to make their food healthy. For making healthy food, they just add some functional component in their normal food. So finally, the formulated foods have enough amount of nutrient as well as some functional components. So their food become healthy or health foods. The aim of this functional foods mission is to improve the health of the population, reduce the healthcare expenses of the society, and just develop some specified foods that called FOSU. This term is very much familiar in Japan. So, if you see the health foods are mainly categorized as a medicine foods are positive to health action plan. They definitely just enhance body function. So, three major groups foods are available in the market. Better for you. Definitely, they have low cholesterol, edible fat, and 0% of some harmful fat like trans fats, snacks and biscuits. Second group is the functional, very important group. These all types of group of foods are available in the market. So you have a bigger and bigger options for selection of these types of health food. This functional food, again, either the functional component come from the natures or we can fortified. Second, natural food. These natural foods with the there is no fortification. Means they all the component, all the functionality comes from the natural origin. So these are the some groups of the health foods. If you just classify them the chemical groups, these are the very important. If you see all these terms are very much important in nowadays in nutraceuticals and our medicines industry. So if you see inorganic mineral supplement, most of our minerals are examples of the inorganic minerals. Helpful bacteria, nowadays everyone asking that yogurt And most of you are just familiar to the Yakut. There is a one probiotic product available in the market, which is very much effective, are very much predominant in the this food industry. That is the probiotics. Some dietary fibers are some digestive enzymes, are some dietary component which are helpful to growth of this health bacteria. Is the prebiotics. Everyone is just concentrating on the fiber or dietary fibers. Natural antioxidants, these are the very important functional component that are called antioxidant. And majority of phytochemicals come from the different sources, vegetables, cereal, and fruits are comes in the phytochemicals. And these phytochemicals are very much essential for the most of our body functions. And the example of fatty acids, phenolics, isopropanol, lipid, and protein. And so these are the some examples. And presently, you everyone know this herbs as a functional food. So these all are the chemically classification of this functional group component. So where these functional foods or functional component play a major role, definitely it's play a very major role in the early development and growth. In case of infant and children, regulation of energy balance and body weight, like minerals, enzymes, cardiovascular function. If you see, there are several components like cholesterol lowering, omega 3, omega 6. All terms are just we discuss later. Defense against oxidative stress means every always ask if you take the whole food, vegetable and cereal, your body become much more resistant to disease. And if any person taking a huge amount of antioxidant, they just delaying their aging. So अगर आप जितने ज्यादा इसको लेंगे आपकी एज उतनी ज्यादा होगी. So this is the again one of the best example of this functional component. They just involve in the intestinal function by maintaining balancing the gut flora. If you know, you become surprised that more than 2 to 200 diseases is controlled by this inbuilt microflora, that is the probiotics. Means if you balance our intestine, if you balance our gut, definitely most of the disease is controlled. So another role is the mental health performance and physical performance and fitness. Definitely most of the weight loss, most of the metabolic diseases and most of the metabolic error affect our body functions. So these are one of the aim of this functional foods development. So if you come to the functional food category, there are several categories available in the market, and where some of the functional foods are present. One category is the basic foods. The most of the basic foods are the foods product naturally contain biotic compound. Like we ask, you take the tomato, you take the some natural fruit and vegetable. They definitely are basic functional foods. Second is the processed foods with the added biotic. In some fruits, biotics are present naturally, but their labels are either removed during the cooking or just avoid or damaged during the development of another product. So where when we just add some biotic, when enhance their property during the processing, that comes in that category. And third category is very important, where food enhanced to have more of the biotic, like the curd is available in the market, but we are using yogurt, because in case of yogurt we just adding several extra biotic compounds, several extra functional components to make much and more effectiveness. Just like example, tomato. If you ate lycopene, pain is the example is the most major component in tomato. But when you add additional lycopene, your tomato become much more functional. Your egg nowadays we just inducing, you are just fortifying omega 3 fatty acid in several products like the egg. So these are the three categories where the whole functional food component utilizing in the market. So if you come to the functional food component, that were the part of usual diet, that in the form of food form and contain an ingredient which provide health benefit. This is the one of the essential. And how this functional food can be used? It can be used as natural food. Component is added by increasing concentration of component naturally occurring, and by adding component is not naturally present. Actually, in some cases, the foods is very rich in the functional component, but there is some toxins and some anti-nutritional compound is there. So the functional food development, our purpose is to maintain their functionality as well as minimize the toxin. So this again comes in the motto of this functional food. In some cases, a food from which component is removed means the food is just very highly functional, a very rich source of functional compound, but due to some protein, due to some component, it become allergic. So in that food, when you remove this allergic protein, or this allergic component or toxic component, these food become again the functional foods. So not only adding but removal of some harmful compound is again the part of this functional food development. A food where one or more component are modified, in some cases the functional food component is there, but their biological activity is not much more. So in that cases we just modified by some treatment and make much more functionality. In some cases, a food in which biology is modified means the product is available, the compound is available, but not eligible, but not available for our body system. In that, they just make much more digestible, much more availability. So these all are the basics where we use the functional food development. So if you comes to this functional foods and drugs, there are so many confusions. If you ask, this is the health food. Some of the people just confuse. No, this is the medicine. No, health food is different from the medicine. I will discuss this. Basically, health food are not medicine. They are just enhance our body positiveness, enhance or protect the coming disease. But in case of medicine, they are just intervening in disturbed physiological process. When your physiological process become a very disturbed manner, means a huge amount of control is there where this medicine is effective. And some other word is used in food supplement. These food supplement like medicine often take the form of pills or capsule, but they cannot legally present, and means they are not treated as the medicine, but they can just supplement to the medicine. So these are the some health and food diagram. So this slide is very important. Most of the cases we must very confused that a food scientist develop a food which just behave like medicine. No, each and every aspect is different in case of functional food and medicine. If you come to the mode of action, in case of functional food, modulation of physiological process within normal range means if error in your body become in very small manner, then this functional food is effective as a therapeutic. In other cases, when you just consume functional foods, the coming disease is thus reduced. But in case of medicine, when your physiological process become much more disturbed, in that cases, the modulation of physiological process controlled outside, that is the mode of action of this medicine. Medicine plays this role. What are the purpose of this functional food and medicine? If you see the functional food, they restore or enhance normal function in order to optimize health, well-being, and performance. Normal growth, normal functions of physiological functions is maintained by the functional food. But in case of medicine, they just treat or prevent disease to enhance perform beyond normal range. Means they just goes to beyond the normal range. That's why when our temperature, when the cell damage becomes very high, we require medicine. For definitely most of the functional food consumed as a part of normal diet are whole, but in case of medicine they are not used as in normal diet part. They are mostly used in the form of pill, tablet, capsules, syrup. So these are the some of the differences in the functional foods component, functional foods and medicine. One thing is very important, which is a major problem in our system, and that what is the dietary supplement. These dietary supplements have some limitations, and that distinguishes from the food. Mostly the food not intended to affect structure and function. Okay, dietary supplement intended only to supplement diet, not represented for us as a conventional food, and not intended as a sole item for meal. Means they are a very small part of our diet. Means if any deficiency occur, we can replace with the dietary supplement. Functional food or foods is the part of all the supplement. So this is the difference and distinction between the dietary. If you come to the dietary supplement and drugs, there are some differences in the drugs and dietary fiber. Drug is mostly intended to diagnose, cure, mitigate, treat, and prevent disease. These all are thus applied to the drugs. In cases of dietary fiber and drugs, both intended to affect structure and function of body. Because suppose your micronutrient is deficient, you just take a supplement, or another disease comes, you take the medicines. Means though both are affect the structure and function at broader level, drugs must be undergo FDA approval. This is the one of the important thing. FDA approval is required always from the drug after the clinical study, and if you claim, so for that purpose, drugs approval, FDA approval, their effectiveness, their safety, and clinical trial study is required. But in case of dietary supplement, there is no need to market testing. This is the some of the difference in the food supplement, dietary supplement, and medicine. So come to the point. Actually, if you see the food, two terms we use: food, functional food and nutraceuticals. Mostly the functional foods effective to control some wellness and health purpose. You just categorize in the functional food. But when they just categorize, when they just extract this component and make a pills or medicines as or capsules and utilize for the intense use, that comes to the nutraceutical. So for the clinical evidences, not all the functional food supplement is just categorized in the nutraceuticals. Means if you have the specific clinical evidences, means this food component is effective for diabetes, this food component is effective for your cancer, then if this is the evidences, then you categorize in the nutraceutical. In case of food supplement, there is no need to the clinical evidences, but they just act as a therapeutic component. In that food supplement, majority of minerals and vitamins are there. Protein supplements are there. Functional food supplements are there, and some of the herbal products where we take this product, but not always claim that this. If you take this herbal product, your this disease will be just removed. So it minimize or it just make reduce the probability of coming diseases. But in case of nutraceuticals, the clinical evidences are there, and they also have the all septic and efficacy status. Finally, most of the food categorized in this, like one of the example is the probiotic and prebiotic food stuff. Now, add food products, add food component can be categorized in the probiotic, prebiotic. If they categorized with all the clinical evidence, efficacy studies, safety aspect, then you categorize in the nutraceutical. So these all are the very important to just make a boundary between the normal food supplement and nutraceutical food supplement. If you see, this is the one of the graph which show the different pathological, different biochemical terms like antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, antibacterial, antifungal. This is the some of the study which in our lab we are also studying some of the property, but this is the whole. If you just go to the plant and take plant system, you found all these property in the plants. Means the plant is the bank or rich of all this property. But when you process the plant component and make a final food product, most of this property is not retained. That's why if you see majority of plants, almost all plants are good source of antioxidant. Almost all plants are anti-inflammatory sources. Almost all plants are anti-cancerous. I mean, that's why if you're taking a natural or whole fruit, vegetable, and cereal, you definitely just avoid our body from coming in cancerous condition. So if you see, this is the history, this is the story of the plant. Means plants are the a good source of almost all the biochemical property. But how can we achieve? How can we just retain that functional foods during the development? That is the very important. So comes to the something which component is called functional food ingredient. Not all the components are the functional food ingredient. If you several times you just listen that our fruity, one of the beverages is high antioxidant. This compound is high antioxidant. Apple is high antioxidant. Means this is the very costly fruit and vegetable because of high antioxidant. Means this antioxidant is one of the important functional food ingredient which just take care of our body health. So come to the antioxidant. Mostly antioxidants are that compound that inhibit the delay oxidation of substrate. Means most of our body function, our aging is dependent upon the oxidation process inside our body. This oxidant comes either in metabolic activity, metabolic reactions in our body, or comes from the outsource. So controlling this oxidant, this toxic molecule is very important. If you control this oxidant molecule, you definitely control the most of the metabolic error and most of the disease and most of the damage of our body cells. That's why it always asks if the person taking strong and high antioxidant, they just reduce their aging process. इसीलिए बोला जाता है कि apple is very good source of antioxidant. If any person regularly taking apple and other fruits with antioxidant, वो जल्दी बूढ़ा नहीं होता. Means they just prolong their age because this antioxidant minimize and production of reactive oxygen species. This is responsible for most of the metabolic and disease condition inside our body, which causes cell damage up as well as DNA and protein and lipids. Mean everywhere there's that oxidant effect. If your food is rich of antioxidant, definitely your body is just avoid or just protect from our oxidant. And so our diet is a very good source of antioxidant like vitamin C and vitamin E. If you see these two vitamin is called commonly antioxidant. Carotenoid, copper, selenium. This if you see the this time our ICE department, our WHO take, you just take a high amount of copper and selenium, because these are the very much effective to protect our body against this COVID-19 virus. So these are the some phytochemical property of antioxidant that it comes from the food sources. If you see this is the different food sources. Means if your plate, if your dinner, if your lunch is colorful, means assume your body, your food containing a lot of antioxidant. If you see the this plate, almost all the fruits and vegetable are colored. So this colorful plate during your lunch and dinner is always favors a good source for antioxidant. Next is the dietary fiber. Everyone know what is importance of dietary fiber. Basically, these dietary fibers are resistant to the hydrolysis of our digestive enzymes, which is not effective inside body. In some cases, these enzymes are not present in human body, so they are not digested. They goes to the our intestine and microvilli layer, and that microvilli layer is a very good source, very rich in the useful microbes like probiotics. And these probiotics just use this dietary fiber as a substrate source and just multiply and make a huge amount of useful microbes. Actually, in our body system, two types of microbes is there. In gut, mainly in gut, harmful and useful. When the balance between these disturb, it becomes the disease condition. Useful bacteria is high, means we are healthy, and harmful bacteria is high, it means healthy. And that useful and harmful bacteria is mentioned by the dietary fiber. That's why if you're taking the proper dietary fibers, you just avoid your body from several diseases. And it is also recommended in case of females that 25 gram per day and men 28 gram per day. Means these are the some recommended date of dietary fiber from different sources. This is very important. They have several medical claims like they are effective to reduce the risk of cardiovascular diseases, blood pressures, improve the lipids level, reduce inflammation, improve glycemic control. You see, this glycemic control or glycemic index very much related to the diabetic and other condition. If the person is facing from diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes, they are become the much more affected in the organ damage. So these dietary fibers have a very huge amount of biological function. That's why if your food is rich in dietary fiber, definitely your food is healthy. And if you see, these are there are a huge amount of source for the dietary fiber. So you can select any dietary fiber in the form of your foods. Omega-3 fatty acid, again one of the important and burning name in the food industry, that is the omega-3 fatty acid. This is the long chain polyunsaturated fatty acid. Unsaturated fatty acids are very healthy in compared to saturated fatty, but this is the polyunsaturated. Mean their unsaturation is high. They just membrane fluidity, maintain this omega-3 membrane fluidity, enzyme activity, most of the cell signaling in our body system. They also affect gene expression and some of the your ecogenite production, which is the signaling molecules in our body system. And these omega-3 fatty acids are associated with the cardiac vascular health disease. That's why it is always asked if you're taking the omega-3 fatty acids, and this is the fish is the very good source of this omega fatty acid. Means if any person taking higher the fish oil, they are very much healthy in their cardiovascular problem. So because they are very much involved in the lowering of triglyceride levels, they just improve endothelial relaxation and reduce inflammation. This is again one of the important. That's why this omega-3 fatty acid, they are very effective during this COVID-19, because most of the inflammation caused by this COVID virus is controlled by this omega-3 fatty acid. They reduce the some cognitive decline, including dementia, reduce risk of certain cancer. Omega-3 is also effective. It is also found to affect in the cancers, also involving the management of so many other metabolic diseases. So this omega-3 is again one of the burning and one of the important functional food component in food industry. The plant sterol, it's a very familiar now. They are mostly naturally in the occurring in the plant. Most of the source are the fruit, vegetable, nuts, seeds, and grains. They are very structurally similar to cholesterol, but not readily absorbed. And the one of the function of cholesterol is that they readily absorb. So either the structure is similar, but they behave different. They reduce the circulating LDL. This is the harmful cholesterol. So they just increase the good cholesterol and good lipoprotein in our body. They are associated with the numerous cancers like lungs, stomach, and have the demonstrated a very strong antioxidant anti-inflammatory and anti-atherogenic properties. So if you see this plant extract, that's why I always ask that your phytochemicals, mostly the flavonoid, polyphenolics, are very much useful, very healthy for your some of the your disease and metabolic conditions. So comes to the prebiotic. This prebiotic term is the mostly used in the food industry, and this is the most burning terms used in the food industry because dietary fibers and these probiotics are mostly involved in the management of useful microbes. So these prebiotics are non-digestible food ingredient, means they are not digested in the digestive tract, finally goes to the gut, and this is utilized by the your useful bacteria probiotics. So this is the very good source for the substrate of the probiotics. And these probiotics have several food properties. They just improve intestinal function, regulate and modulate immune system. Nowadays, this if you see the declaration and guidelines just by the Ministry of Ayush, they every time ask you just take prebiotics foods component, probiotic foods component, because they are very much regulating and modulating our immune function. And this immune function is basically target of the COVID-19. If our immune system is strong, if you boost our immune system, definitely or you make our body system much more defensive against this COVID type of virus. So this is the very important. So if you see, there are several functions of these prebiotics. So prebiotics is again very important. Up come to the probiotics. These probiotics are mostly live microorganisms which when administered in adequate amount can alter intestinal microbiota and confirm. It means any useful microbes if goes to the gut and affect positively our health is called probiotics. If you see this bottle Yakult, these Yakult are very good source of the probiotic, which is predominant sources of the probiotic. This is actually the milk, skim milk containing probiotics are there. Why this probiotics important? Because this increase the and consumption and modified the gut microbiota, and this gut microbiota control and secrete so many of the compound which is essential our body, means they are not maintaining our body system, they also maintain some of the metabolic process of our body system. The common probiotics are mostly strain of lactobacillus and bifidobacteria. These two are the predominant prebiotics inside our gut, and they have several health benefits. First, health benefit to immune function, means any functional food component which directly or indirectly involved in immune function are very much helpful to the protect our body against COVID-19 like viruses. So this function is to develop immunity. That's why WHO asks to take much and much your probiotic products. This is not, I'm not recommending only Yakult. You can also take yogurt. You can take so many of the fermented foods. So there are a very big baskets of the this probiotic product in the market. Fermented foods, yogurt, curd in your home. This is again one of the probiotic properties. So these all are the health benefits. You can imagine how much the health benefits of these probiotics in this day. So come to the these are the some category, these are on the functional, and come to the what are the different plant based sources. If you see this functional food ingredient not only comes from the plant is a good source, animal is also source, and microbial is also source. So all these are the very good source of this functional food component. Suppose ascorbic acid. This ascorbic acid is a very good food ingredient nowadays used in the food industry, and their source is rose fruit pepper. And if you see, these are their health benefits. Come to the allicin, garlic, onion chips. These are the source. Come to the beta carotene. These all are the functional ingredient. Beta carotene, carrots, tomato, yellow square, and these are the some already established function. So if you see, these are the food ingredient and their health benefit is used a very good amount of health related property are there in this functional food component. That's why we always ask, if you take the whole, the maximum probability of coming the functional food product in same far is high. But when you process, when you formulate, and when you develop a food product using this functional product, the probability of the damage of this component during the process is high. That's why we just control the processing step for such types of product development using this food ingredient. So these are the again one of the some of the important like capsaicin, pepper fruit, catechin comes from the tea, very good antioxidant, cellulose inside soluble fiber, dietary fibers, and most of the plants, They also have the several health benefits like lowers cholesterol and CBD. Cyanidin, the grapes, raspberry, strawberry, very good source of cyanidin, and that's why these fruits are just categorized a very strong antioxidant containing fruit. Coenzyme Q, flavonoid and anthocyanin. So if you see, these are the some plant source where these compounds are very rich, and these are their health value. Means all have the very good health related property. Folic acids again one of the important. Citrus fruit is their sources, tomato grain. B glucan, bran of oats. Oats is very important because they containing B glucan. And this due to this B glucan, they have lowering blood lipid property. That's why bran is very helpful to the controlling blood cholesterol and CVD, cardiovascular diseases. Indoles, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, they are very good source of antioxidant, anti-cancer agent. Lecithin, the soybean is the one of the good source of lecithin, and this lecithin lower the LDL. Isothiocyanate, this is the one of the compound, and this compound is mostly carried by the cruciferous vegetable. That's why if you're taking higher amount of cruciferous vegetable properly processed, they have the anti-cancerous agent. Isoflavonoid, this is one of the important flavonoid compound, and plant-based estrogen, which is found in the soybean. That's why soybean is the very much very good phytochemical as well as medicinal property due to this isoflavone. And this isoflavone is the only phytoestrogen which comes estrogen. Estrogen is basically female related hormone, but this hormones is found in the plant. That's why this isoflavone is commonly called phytoestrogen. So these are the some sources, and they have several property out of this anti-osteoporosis, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic properties also reported. So these all are the phytochemicals from the plants with their functional property. If you come to the some other lignin, lycopene, nimonides, resveratrol, quercetin, soya protein, tocopherol, these all are the very good functional food component. If you see good functional food component and higher medicinal property, you can imagine if you formulate the food adding these functional foods, definitely your foods or your final foods will be enriching in such types of functional food. And why not? If you add the functional food, definitely your food become healthy food. That's why the people comes to this era where they are not very much aware for they are not very much interested to take medicine, but they are very much interested to taking the healthy foods because this food option, if you see the in COVID-19 era, we have no developed medical facility, we have no vaccine, we have no established medicine, but we have established this functional food component. Means if you utilize this functional food component, definitely we just developed so many of the resistance against COVID like virus. So that were the plant source. If you come to the animal based sources, there are several things which is found which comes from the animal source, and that are the very good functional component. Like choline comes from the milk and meat, and they are very much related to the some of the prevent atherosclerosis as well as Alzheimer's disease. Zinc, nowadays zinc is very important, and everyone asking from the up to WHO to the Ayush department to take zinc because they are very much related to the immune boosting. So these genes come from the meat, milk and seafood. Calcium, the good food sources, milk and meat, very useful in the bone protection. Conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, comes from the meat, milk and bone production. DHA, it's a very familiar term. This is the DHA and EPA that comes from the fish oil. That's why fish oil is always useful as a functional component. And they reduce the CVD, cardiovascular disease, and many anti-inflammatory diseases. And due to this anti-inflammatory, they are also found to effective to boosting our immune system. Sphingolipid, ubiquinone, these are some of the animal-based phytochemicals comes from the food sources, animal food sources, and this is their health benefit. So you can just see what are this food ingredient and how this food is very much familiar to our body system, and how these foods make our body much more immune resistant or boost our immune system, not only immune system but whole of the metabolic activity. So you come to the next third category, that is the microbial based. Means microbes are not only harmful, but most of the microbes are reported to very good, very essential for our body system. If you remove your microbe from the gut, it is very difficult to survive in normal conditions. That's why these microbes are very good. So these are the food ingredients. This is the bifidobacterium. Bifidum. This strain is found in our gut. Bifidobacterium infantis. This streptococcus, yogurt, and this lactobacillus acidosis. These are some microbial source which come from the food sources like yogurt, sour milk. If you ferment your foods, if you naturally ferment your foods, milk, these all are the good source from this functional food ingredient of microbia. If you see the health effect, a very strong probiotic property, prevention property from the harmful bacteria. And this bifidobacterium, they just produce a lot of acid, lactic acid, acetic acid, which reduce the intestinal pH and restrict to the some of the metabolism, and finally also avoid to the harmful bacteria that comes with your food system. So they just act as a secretory molecule and also affect as a preventive molecule for the harmful bacteria. So these are the some microbial based sources for the functional food. Come to this. This is a very important slide, and now it is almost 30 to 40% our food as well as food industry who seriously thinking for the coronavirus like diseases for the post COVID period. They're just concentrating on this human microbiome. If you see our gut is very rich source of microbiota. What are the function of this microbiota? And not only gut, but our stomach, small intestine, and other part of body is also a source of bacteria. Some bacteria are useful and some bacteria are harmful. If bacteria are useful, they are mostly recommended as the probiotics. What are the role in our gut? They just energy from the foods, harvest, improve gut motility and function, reinforce gut barrier from the harmful bacteria, protects against pathogen. कोई भी अगर वायरस या बैक्टीरिया बाहर से आ रहा है, it just protects, produce metabolite that important for health, and synthesize vitamins and hormones. This is the one of the important role of this microbiota. These useful bacteria inside our body, they just produce some vitamin and hormones, which is solely comes from that source. And outside the gut, it just booster the immune system, influence brain, liver, kidney, skin. If you see, they just produce and modulate hormones. And how can we maintain? Actually, when we take the several things like antibiotics, some pathogens, they just disturb this microflora, and that will be the harmful for our body system. That's why to maintain this gut microbiota is very essential. And how this gut microbiota play a role in this COVID and post-COVID, how development of these probiotic foods are useful microbes and for the maintaining gut microbiota after the during this period or post-COVID, because this microbiota, this probiotic involved in the proper maturation and maintenance of immune system, control and maintain immune stasis. They just control and maintain, produce several immune molecules like butyric acid, antimicrobial peptide, key signaling molecule, and several naturally antibiotics, and they prevent the growth of disease-causing pathogenic bacteria and viruses. So if you formulate any food using probiotic as a functional food, they are very much useful to and suited for our body system for such types of immune boosting. Means if you regularly take the probiotic, you are just boosting your immune system. If you boosting your immune system, you are very much resistant to the coronavirus or COVID-like viruses. So if you see the functional food market, these are the some vitamins, prebiotics, mineral, fatty acids. These are all discussed, and this is their scope. Means the scope and the growth of these functional foods components are increasing in the market. If you see, this is the history of 2015 and 2014. So huge demand and huge growth of this functional food market. Means any person, if any industry who is interested to just develop such types of foods or supplements, is very much become growth in futures. So these are the some example of the functional foods available in the market. In some foods available in the markets are biotic ingredient naturally present and added, some like milk with omega-3 fatty acid in the market. Some enhanced biotic compounds is available, like yogurt with increased probiotic. Means we are also enhancing the functional property of such product by enhancing some functional food component. Means we just adding extra probiotic. So yogurt with this product is available in the market. In cases of some egg and dairy industry, omega-3 fatty acid fortified eggs is available, probiotics fortified cheese is available, yogurt, added antioxidant, prebiotics and probiotics. I means if the product is there, that product is already healthy, but due to this functional food comment, we just make these healthy foods and to much more healthier. So these are the some available food markets with the adding functional food component. If you come to the grain product in the market, pasta with added dietary fibers is available. Some cereals with added omega-3 fatty acid dietary fiber probiotics is available. Added omega-3 fatty acid is available, and some beverage with added antibiotic dietary fibers omega-3 means these are the already healthy foods are available, but by adding this functional food component, we just make this food to the health food. Means if you just eat this functional food, most of the property after that food is changed and your food become much more healthy. That's why if you go to the any food mall, they have several options of the functional foods and beverages. So these are the some snacks with added compounds are available. Some condiments, margarines, and salad. In fact, salad with omega-3 fatty acid dressing is also available. And these are the some food product if you see in the screen are the food component with added functional foods are available. Nowadays, the functional food component, several claims are there. Some products are just claiming the nutrient claim. Means they are not asking about the health, but they are asking this is the product and this product is high source of fiber, excellent source of vitamin C, no cholesterol and no transport. So these are the some functional food claiming in the products. In some cases, they just only claim that this nutrient is present, and they also indicate if this nutrient is present in your food, definitely your food you will be behave like, and this food is as useful due to this nutrient. So they never refers the disease because this is the food component. So the disease risk reduction claim is also available in most of the products in the market. They just health claim on food packaging that link a component of the product reduce the of diet related disease. Means they are not directly claiming that this product is useful to reduce, but they are indirectly claiming that this functional food is there, this functional component is there, and due to this functional food, this product will be useful in such types of diseases. So these are the some terms. And just come to the coronavirus, COVID-19. If you see this, why this coronavirus, why this pandemic become a very much opportunities in the food industry. If you see this COVID-19 pandemic, they just mainly everyone is asking and everyone thinking about the boosting the immune system because of there is no facility of vaccines and other. Means we have only alternate during this period to enhance our boosting through nutrition or making a immune booster food products. With there are several pandemic expected to follow in the post-COVID era virus and they again tried that if our food is rich in the such types of component, functional food component, definitely that will be the best approach to protect our body from the viruses and other diseases. So if you want to prepare for the post-COVID period, definitely a functional food are the food related to the such types of antiviral properties very much required. So what required if you want to make a food for the future, you definitely immune boosting food is the very much important. Or the food component which added in your food development for the immune boosting will be stable. So nano encapsulation and other food technological tools is required. Means if you utilizing these tools and making a food product, you formulate a food product effective for not only coronavirus but the virus. So this will be the best opportunities. This will be the best alternate to increase our economy as well as our health during this pandemic period. If you see the history of the pandemic, some this is all mostly continue in 1918. Spanish flu was there. If you see Asian flus were there in 2019, COVID-19 is there. 2002, if you see SARS was there. 2012, MERS. That means every era, every time there will be the probability of some such types of pandemic is in our mind. So this is the best opportunities to develop a food for protecting our body system, our health against such types of virus. So if you see how these different functional food components are associated with the death rate of several predominant death. Means low fruit diet, low nuts, low vegetable diet. Everywhere if you saw, they are not mentioning the functional food component. But this if this component is lacking, definitely your food is lacking up some functional food component. And due to this functional food component, like iron deficiency, zinc deficiency, sugar drink that finally ultimately the death is occur. Means the control of nutrition are to develop a proper foods is again very much important to control the death. So if you see some of the functional food component are now very much effective for the immune boosting, which is already preferring like mushroom, curd, sweet potato, tomato, papaya, whole grain, brains means garlic, seafood. See, these foods are presently recommending to formulate either whole or other component for the immune boosting. So if you see this slide, actually in my presentations, three things is there: functional food component and disease management. How this functional food component during this COVID period manage our disease. If you these slides, this is actually really a very complex process inside. These slides indicate the different types of immune system, immune responses in our body system. There are two major immune responses, cell-mediated humoral responses. So these all steps are basically governed by the several immunity process. In immunity process, the cell is maturation, the cell formation, and their biochemical reactions. After all these reactions, our cell is prepared to protect by several biochemical, several metabolic reaction, and finally they just remove the pathogen from the body side. Either they damage the immune, the pathogen from the body side. So if you see every steps, pathogens comes, some physical barriers are ready, and that just protect our body at first level. If the body is not enough to protect at that level, they just comes inside in several way. This innate immunity responses comes, and after inflammatory responses come, some adaptive immune responses come. So immunity, if you see immune responsibility, this cellular and biochemical responses come. If you see there are several reactions occur during cellular responses and several reactions occur during biochemical responses. Why we are explaining? If you see at every places like physical barrier contribute to integrity vitamin A, D, C, E. I mean these all are the food supplement. These all are the good source of functional food. Or this may be categorized as a functional food component that are the part of food but their function is defined. If you see here, this functional food component is a vitamin is there, zinc is there. Here, vitamin, some vitamins is there, folate is there, zinc is there, iron is there, micronutrient is there, protein is there. In case of this, some micronutrient, vitamin, zincs are there. Everywhere, every stage, these are present. Means all the steps of this immune system is finally performed, is finally complete in presence of this functional food component. That's why if your food have enough functional food component, they will be help to complete the immune responses, immune system, immune biochemical reaction, and finally boost your immune system. If your food does not have this functional component, definitely your food process, your immune reactions or immune completion is not proper, and finally your immune system become sluggish, and your boosting you are not able to boost your immune system, and that just invite to several pathogen for the disease condition. That's why this COVID-19 virus, which target is cytokinin, and this interleukin and cytokinin, this cytokinin, the product of this inflammatory and other regulatory reactions. If your immune system is weak, and they just attack to that. If the immune system is weak, if your food containing no functional food, finally the bacteria, this bacteria and pathogen, especially virus, COVID virus, are very become susceptible, are very become effective to your body system, and we are not avoid our body to just protect from such types of disease, which is COVID-19 or coronavirus. So if you can imagine how this functional food component is involved in the boosting of your immune system. That's why functional foods major role in immune boosting, and immune boosting is major role in the disease management. So if you see some of the functional food which is reported as a immune boosting property which is directly related to the immune boosting. If any food component and functional food component directly related to immune boosting, they are very much helpful during this COVID-19 period. That's why most of the agencies, food agencies, health agencies are directly recommend to these food ingredients like probiotics. They are modulating the immune system, and this property is also established. Micronutrient, this micronutrient affect immunostimulant, means directly affect to the immune system, enhance proliferation of T cells. These T cells are the major cells from the immune system. Improve NK cells. They directly or indirectly involved in the immune boosting. Vitamin A, C, E, very effective during this period because they just prevent damage to immune cells. Means if vitamin A, C is there, there is little loss of your immune cells, and finally enhance of your immunity. So these are their functions. Some neutralize reactive oxygen species, some improve immune functions, some act as anti-inflammatory and immune responses, delaying hypersensitivity. Means a lot of functions are thus performed by this functional food component like vitamin A, C, E. So if you see, these are the source of these components like probiotics. These are the several source: kombucha, sauerkraut, dairy product, fermented product, soya tem. So we can just take this immune component. We can just formulate by using this component. Selenium is there, food providing benefit to immune system. Vitamin C is there. These are the source of vitamin. Vitamin A is there, source of vitamin. These are vitamin. Means these all are the important food component which can be directly used COVID post-COVID period for the immune boosting. If you see some other component like flavonoid, carotenoid herbs, flavonoids are very important, which we have already discussed in the flavonoids. They just modulate the immune system. Means taking a large amount of flavonoids is very much effective to boosting your immune system. Carotenoid regulate the immune system. Herbs stimulate the immune system response. Means everywhere this functional food component boost your immunity, finally strong your immunity. These are the some food ingredient where sources of these are. These are the some source of beta carotenoid food sources. These are the some flavonoid sources. So you can just select some sources, not formulated food, but directly as a whole foods. So if you see, these are some naturally immune boosting foods are available. Some food stuff like apple, very strong anti-inflammatory, very useful in immune system boosting. Blackberry, anti-inflammatory. Blackcurrant, anti-inflammatory. Blueberry, strong antioxidant. Bojanberry, inflammatory. Everywhere they just supporting immune supporting functions are there, and there this role is already established. Means there is no confusion. You can directly use as a whole or in different format or extract their functional component and formulate the food system. Cocoa, cherry, cranberry, grapes, pomegranate, everyone is have this either strong anti-inflammatory, your immune supporting, immune modulating, antioxidant, antimicrobial property. So these are the some direct functional food component where their immune boosting property is established. So carrot, mango, spinach, sweet potato, tomato, everywhere these components are just playing a major role in the immune boosting. If any food component, if any food directly involved in this, definitely they have certain functional food component which we discussed previously in some slide. So these functional food component in the form of this food are very much useful in our immune boosting. So if you see superfoods, we just take one term superfood. Some foods have several properties. Means if you categorize these foods, carrot, sweet, broccoli, means fruit and vegetable. Some of the coconut, raw, econia, some sugar beet pulp, fish oil, goat milk, colostrum, ecarnia, psyllium. These foods are some very good sources of phytochemicals and several medical properties already established. Means if you come to this group, their anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties established. Come to this group, antifungal, antimicrobial, antibacterial, antioxidant properties established. Come to this group, the probiotic properties established. Come to this group, antioxidant, inflammatory properties established. Come to this group, a strong prebiotic property is already established. Come to this group, immune stimulant and regulate glucose. Means they have not only useful for the nutrition, but they are very much useful for the medical property. So if you see this medical property, where used, if they have this property, they definitely involve in the tissue repair, skin and health coat conditions, health to here digestion and improve the coats, aid digestion, use several body functions are just covered by these food components. So these foods comes in the superfood category. If you see how this functional foods is just stand between the disease and wellness. Here we just this slide, so here we just indicate some grains, some nuts, some cocoa, some coffee. I mean, these are the whole foods and which are the source of some of the functional component like this. These are the best source of unsaturated fatty acids, and these are the basically involved in the lowering of the cholesterol function. If you come to the polyphenols, they are very important in platelet regulation, and finally they just avoid protect cardiovascular disease and diabetes. So if you see, some are involved in the oxidation process, some are involved in the blood pressure process, some are involved in the glucose control. Means if these sources are there and they are the tremendous amount of functional foods, and finally most of our the metabolic and disease conditions which is caused by the metabolism error and other infection are just controlled by this functional food component. That's why use of functional food, proper use of functional food, or development of food with proper functional food and processing condition is always useful for maintaining health to our system. So these are the some functional foods. We just come directly to the our disease condition. There are several functional food components which is directly reported, and their clinical trial is already established that they are directly related to some specific types of the disease like cardiovascular disease. Which of the functional food component directly related to the cardiovascular disease like soybean. Soybean is a very good food option because of containing soya protein and isoflavone. This soya protein, some studies or clinical trial established have a good lowering blood cholesterol capability. Means if you are using this soya protein, your blood cholesterol problem is minimized. Isoflavone. This isoflavone inhibition in LDL oxidation. Means these properties already established with some of the study. We come to the oats. Oats is very healthy because of some functional food component like they have soluble fibers, specifically beta glucan, and their major biochemical part is reduce cholesterol absorption. So our oats is very much related to the cholesterol related problem, and this property is also established. Flaxseed. If you come to the flaxseed, omega-3 fatty acid and lignan is the predominant flaxseeds. Although flaxseeds have some anti-nutritional compound, cyanide compound, but by using some of the processing conditions, we just utilize this functional component for a healthy product because of their lowering blood cholesterol level. And actually, these are the some although instead of these properties, some other properties also reported, but these properties are already established by some clinical finding. If you come to the garlic, garlic is very healthy because of the allicin and their lowering blood cholesterol property is established by the clinical trial study. Tea, tea containing a huge amount of flavonoid and catechins, which is also established to inhibition of the LDL oxidations. Nuts is good source of polyphenols, and mechanism of action is the mostly related to endothelial functions, and this is also established. Grapes and grape juice are again one of the important functional food component which is found to a very much healthy heart or cardiovascular disease protection because of their resveratrol. These are the some of the phytochemicals which their biochemicals which their functional properties already established due to a clinical trial study. So that's why come to the one major. I am not dealing all the disease, but we are just dealing cancer and diabetes. So cardiovascular and diabetes. This diabetes is again caused by the several metabolic errors and defective body system. So oat is very much familiar, very much effective for the diabetes because of the containing beta glucan, antioxidant, carotenoid, a huge amount of biotic component is there, and their functions to reduce postnasal glycoma. These all are very much familiar to the oat for the diabetic person. Rice is rich of the several biotic compounds like phenolic acid, tannins, benzoic acid, and they all have familiar to. They all have effective to decrease carbohydrate absorption, stimulate insulin from the beta cells, increase satiety, and finally effective to the diabetes. Whole oat. This whole oat is a good source of dietary fiber. Magnesium's major cofactor of enzyme associated with glucose metabolism and insulin secretion. These are the very much essential for removal or minimization of diabetes because of the increased satiety, decreased energy intake, improved postprandial glycemic response. Means nowadays, if you see some of the foods categorized on the glycemic index, these foods are whole wheat, or some of the foods are categorized low glycemic index. Means they just uh, slowly release of the glucose molecule in blood. Any foods which have a lower glycemic index is very much effective in a diabetic. In all the functional food component with lower glycemic index are effective to the diabetes. So whole wheat with this property is also established. Soybean containing several phenolic compounds, phytoestrogen, which is already discussed, genistein, diastein, glycine. These, due to this, the decreased blood pressures, improved dyslipidemia. They also control glycemic control, insulin sensitivity, and a very good source of antioxidant. So that's why this again very much similar, very much effective to the diabetic condition. Means if you see some of these food stuffs or functional foods are a part of our kitchen. Means if you make to healthy ourselves, you just make healthy to our kitchen. If our kitchen is healthy, our processing is healthy, definitely you minimize the intake of medicines because we're just taking the healthy functional food component. In most of the functional food component, they have effect to minimize upcoming diseases. If you say cinnamon, this cinnamon have a good source of flavonoid of different kind, which improve insulin sensitivity, glucose, lipids, antioxidant, and finally effective to the diabetes. Turmeric, good source of flavones, curcuminides, and functionality, definitely they are very much functional to anti-inflammatory behavior by through the mediation of both the gene and protein level. Means the turmeric are very important functional food component. You can just imagine the role of turmeric and functional component of turmeric because they just affect at both level. They also involve in the genetic regulation as well protein levels. That's why this will be again used as a supplement, not recommended due to the paucity of long-term research. So this can be effective in the diabetes. Fenugreek, very good of alkaloids, saponins, and flavonoids, and they are very much effective from the glycemic control in diabetic patient, possibly by delaying the gastric emptying, slowing carbohydrate absorption, and increase insulin sensitivity of tissue. That's why this pangru is using from a longer time. Our the older peoples are always asked if you taking this pangru in proper way, it will be very much effective to the diabetes. So these are the not only the statement, but these have already proved by several clinical studies. So these were the part of the functional foods, how these functional foods and different components of functional food effective for the immune boosting, and how this immune boosting and other functional foods in different mechanism just involve into control of the some metabolic and other diseases. So this part is very important. Although we have several options, although we have several components, most of the if you see most of the food stuffs and food, functional food component is just part of our kitchen as well as part of our garden and market. But we are not able, in most of the cases, the success rate of the developing healthy foods with proper functional property is very low because there are several aspects. What are the challenges in this food development? Actually, to maintaining the sensory attributes is very problematic. When we formulate foods, our consumers is just ask, your food is not tasty. Means the taste and the functional property is not directly related. If your food is tasty, there will be the probability of losing of some of the functional component like phenolics because most of the functional foods have the bitter taste. That's why the it is very difficult to develop a very tasty functional food. Stabilization of product ingredient is again very important because these biotic components are complex synergistically ingredient and their stability is the biggest challenge because when we make a process when we just treat temperature pressure their structure is changes and in some cases their properties also changes. The biotic compounds vary type and variety of foods. Same types of variety and conjugates are different in different food. And one of the important factor processing, cooking, temperature, pressure, and other things are very much make the challenges for the problem in the functional food component. Functional food components is again very important because most of the cases the foods along with other foods very effective. आपने देखा होगा कई बार डॉक्टर बोलते हैं you take this medicine with the milk, you take this medicine with the hot water. That's why which functional food or which nutrient supplement is just favor to our functional food comment. This is again one of the problems. Improving defense and managing reasonable product cost is again when you just control all the parameters, definitely the cost is your affected. That's why it develop or formulate a high quality functional foods component. A functional food component containing healthy foods is one of the challenge. Phytosterol, in case of phytosterol, estrogen, these are the some challenges. Isoflavone is very good medicinal property, but bitterness is the prevalent, and their solubility in water is very poor. Phytosterol, water and difficulty incorporating low and fat beverage. Dietary fiber, it's very poor suspension and sedimentation. When you use this dietary fiber, they just change their texture and everything. Probiotics, very sensitive to the heat, oxygen, low pH, moisture. So development of this functional food component, functional food, is very challenging. Vitamins solubility is problem, stability is the problem. So some of the technological challenges and these are some possible technological solutions in cases like creation of functional food from the raw material. It is very difficult to extract, to isolate the functional food component from raw and just convert to final products. For that, some of the possible just immobilized in case of enzyme, we just use some membrane process to avoid the losses of functionality. Some chemical modification is also used, like biotic peptides, novel carbohydrate, phytochemicals. These are the some phyto compounds where this option, when this strategy is used, in some cases, like mineral antioxidants, they are functional food component by increasing the concentration in raw material by different way, like fermenting, just fermenting, enzyme technology, some non-thermals to avoid the high temperature. So these are the some technological challenges, and these may be possible technological solution which we are using in the food industry. So some of the technological challenges are here that they are the optimization of functional food component to increase viability, fermentation technology, membrane technology, application component in raw material good. So some of the encapsulation process, some of the packaging, advanced packaging technology. In case of food safety, we're just using some sensor and marker technology for just applicable in development of such types of our functional food component. So, and we come to the conclusions. And it's very important the post-COVID periods to make the food as healthy for COVID or coronavirus. If you come to the conclusion, there are several specific factors which differentially affect the immune system, really. And the resulting of difference in type, prevalence, and severity of infection, which definitely the immune system is affected with the several ways. And several factors govern most of the functional food govern the immune system. And that immune system is basically protect our body to several infections and finally increase our ages. Definitely, when we take adequate supplies of functional food component, and these functional food component will be very effective and play key roles in the supporting immune system. Definitely, if our immune system is boost, our immune system is good, we can reduce the risk and severity of infection and also support a faster recovery. Means aiding, providing this functional food component, it just acts as a therapeutic factor, and your disease is recovered very fast. If you come to the our country India is one of the largest food producer, everyone know. In most of the cases we are in the first fruit, vegetable, cereals or milk, we are in the first position, either in second position. In most of the cases our places, our status is very good, but a largest, either we are largest producer in the world and offer vast opportunities to this functional food company. Definitely substrate is there, their extract, their component is there. So in case of our country, these functional food components makes very effective sector, not during this COVID, but after post COVID era for the purpose of investment and economy of our country. If you see, the functional food sector has a huge potential in the form of health food and other and processed food. In India can become kitchen of the world after post COVID-19. Definitely, if you utilize all of the foods in proper manner, we can just become the leader in the world after post COVID, and our food processing sector can grow, which is very low during time. We have the hope to it can be increased up to 25% annual growth in next 2 years. So finally, it well defined that if our food is healthy, due to the proper functional food component, our immune system is healthy. If our body immune system is healthy, we become healthy, and finally we can ask on that basis the Baujan Sukhai and Baujan Hitai. For this wishes, I wishes to all for your good health, and thank you from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that colorful and very informative presentation on functional foods. So there are a few questions in the feedback. Shall I post that question, sir?
Yeah, yeah. Can we stop sharing?
Yes, sir. You can stop sharing. Dr. Rakesh Babu Gautam has asked, some goods are beneficial one side while harmful from the other side. How will we manage these problems?
Yeah, yeah. Sir, actually, this is the very big problem in food industry because if you see some foods are very good, they have 90%, 95% of nutritional nutraceutical property, but they have a 5% of some anti-nutritional property. When we start the formulating such types of food development, we always take care to just protect the nutritional or the healthy property and utilize a proper processing conditions. So by using processing conditions according to their anti-nutritional toxins, we can just avoid this anti-nutritional property. Like in some cases, we just use fermentation technology. In some cases, membrane technology. In some cases, high pressure technology. In some cases, temperature is there. For example, some food which is rich in trypsin inhibitor, one of the inhibitor toxins. In that cases, when we treat it up to 80-85 degree for the particular time, your protein is again remain, digestibility is increases, but most of the protein inhibitor, trypsin inhibitor, amylase inhibitor, denature. So by using a proper processing conditions during the formulation and development, we can only remove this toxic and our purpose is also to save the nutritional and that good value. So processing by using processing conditions and different advanced processing, we can use this food as a nutritional form.
Okay, sir. Ilahi Sheikh has asked, is really taking Chyawanprash improves immunity?
Yeah, yeah, sir. Actually, if you see the Chyawanprash component, and I have one slide, I have several slides from the Chyawanprash, but due to the time, it was not explained. Chyawanprash component have several naturally ingredient functional food component, and most of them are the immune modulators. So if you come to the compositions of the Chyawanprash, you can find most of the functional food which we discussed in our slide. If the functional foods in a proper process condition is there, definitely they will be helpful to improve our immune system because Chyawanprash is a very good immune modulator as well as a strong antioxidant property containing your foodstuffs. So definitely, if all functional foods is there, it will be effective in your immune boosting.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sangram Keshari Pandas asked whether the gut microbiota produce fatty acids in our body.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that fatty acids are very useful. Short chain fatty acids. If you see the function of short chain fatty acids, they have very much role in several functions. In metabolic purpose, in synthesis purpose, as well as immune modulation purpose. So during the metabolism, when any substrate utilized by this probiotic, they just convert a bigger fatty acids to a very effective short chain fatty SCFA. If you know SCFA, so definitely this probiotics converts the fatty acid into useful short fatty acids.
Okay. Soumya Brata Sarkar has asked, is there any phytomedical solutions for osteoarthritis?
Sir, actually, we cannot recommend as a as a food scientist because this is the clinical conditions. If the clinical conditions is there, means their physiological effect become very high. So we always advise the medicine. But if you take as a food in the form of functional food component, form of healthy food, definitely the level of that conditions will be reduces. So finally, after longer time, that conditions will not occur or minimized. But if you want to the complete solution immediately, because foods is effective before development of disease, but when you develop the disease, their nutraceuticals as well as medicine is required.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. There were a lot of appreciation and thank you message for you for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Now, dear all, I feel very happy to propose the vote of thanks on the day 6 of the International Industry Academia Conclave IIAC 2020 on redefining phytomedicines for post-COVID era. On behalf of the Guru Nanak Center for Research, Guru Nanak College, Chennai, I wish to extend my gratitude to our today's keynote speaker, Dr. MANOJ Tripathi, Principal Scientist, Indian Council for Agricultural Research, Central Institute of Agricultural Engineering, Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India, for readily accepting our invitation and sparing his valuable time with us in the midst of his hectic schedule. Sir, we are all impressed by your knowledge and interest for functional foods and their role in improving our immunity. I thank our college management, especially our most revered General Secretary and Correspondent Sardar Manjit Singh Nayyar ji, our respected Principal Dr. M.G. Raghunathan sir, for their constant support, guidance, and help for all endeavors. I thank Dean School of Languages and ICAR Coordinator Dr. Swati Paliwal for welcoming the resource person and the participants with a very impressive welcome address for today's session. I thank Vice Principal Students Affairs, Vice Principal Shift 2, Deans of all schools, heads and faculty of the various departments of Guru Nanak College for their support for all the center's activities. Last but not the least, the participants from across the globe for your active participation in today's session and all our programs. Once again, I thank one and all present here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks to all the participants